Alberta pushes for independence. Huge support grows as province fights for more autonomy. Alberta is making seismic political waves under Premier Danielle Smith, igniting the greatest sovereignty push the province has seen in decades. With the G7 summit bringing global eyes to Kananaskis, the eyes of Canadians are also turning inward to questions of provincial power. Rumors of federal concessions and growing voter unrest have emboldened Smith to open the door for a referendum on independence, a door that many assumed would remain firmly shut. Her move comes as more than symbolic. It's a strategic test of federal-provincial relations and democracy's resilience. Smith has deliberately shifted tactics, lowering the signature requirement for a provincial referendum to 177,000. That threshold has already been surpassed by activists, signaling a surge of interest that caught many off guard. Smith herself says she doesn't personally advocate for secession, but she has vowed to respect the will of Albertans should they decide to pursue it. This balancing act, acknowledging unease without embracing separation, is earning her productivity points among voters, particularly those fatigued by federal gridlock and carbon policy risks. Public polling shows that while a majority of Albertans still favor remaining in Canada, a significant minority is open to a new path. Support for independence sits around 36% province-wide, but clicks dramatically higher, up to 58%, among United Conservative Party supporters. Rural voters, long frustrated by equalization payments and energy regulation, are most likely to endorse autonomy. Even in urban areas, nearly half of respondents say they'd seriously consider leaving under certain conditions. These numbers reflect a political moment built on economic disillusionment and perceived federal neglect. Underlying the referendum drive is Alberta's energy sector, long the jewel in Canada's crown and a major source of discontent. Federal policies like carbon pricing, pipeline delays, and regulatory burdens have shaken investor confidence. Major projects such as Keystone XL and Trans Mountain have been stalled, leaving the province feeling strangled. By opening the referendum process, Smith has given these worries a political edge, creating a credible exit threat that could spur Ottawa to act. Smith's team has also introduced Alberta Next, a citizen engagement initiative that brings town halls and listening circuits to communities across the province. Thousands have shared honest expressions of frustration, many recounting broken pipelines, broken promises, and broken trust. For many, the petition and public forums aren't about independence per se, but about revitalizing Alberta's voice, drawing attention to economic bottlenecks and forcing the national government to come to the table with solutions. Federal voices, including former Calgary Mayor Naheed Nenshi and ex-Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, warn that such momentum could fracture Canada irreparably. Yet Smith's response is to position the referendum as a development of federalism, not its undoing. She stresses democracy and local empowerment. Alberta can stay, but only on terms that work. That framing has neutralized some critics and broadened support beyond the UCP base, including some moderate conservatives and independents. Smith's political juggernaut is fueling a honeymoon, effect rarely seen in Canadian politics. With 2 years since triumphing over Rachel Notley under her belt, Smith's party remains projected to win big in the next election. That sustained backing boosts her referendum credibility, since a government not supported by voters would face less risk in pushing such bold measures. Instead, this referendum arrives with momentum and electoral legitimacy. Institutional readiness is becoming a flashpoint. Analysts warn of complex legal, trade, and Indigenous questions that will follow any yes vote. Concerns include trade tariffs, treaty renegotiations, and Canada's constitution. But supporters argue Alberta already operates much like a sovereign state, administering public services, controlling budgets, and generating resource revenues. They claim negotiations would be challenging but not impossible, pointing to European models of regional autonomy. The referendum strategy is also designed to be a pressure tool more than a separation roadmap. By activating the constitutional machinery under the Clarity Act, Smith can compel Ottawa to negotiate. The referendum mechanism legitimizes Alberta's grievances and potentially unlocks policy concessions, pipeline approvals, revenue-sharing deals, or regulatory carve-outs. Whether Ottawa makes those trade-offs remains to be seen, but Alberta is now no longer voiceless. Still, detractors question whether activists accomplish more with confrontation or engagement. Critics warn that a federal-provincial clash could chill economic investment, disrupt healthcare funding, and divide families. But Smith and her advisors counter that visible pressure may be the only reliable route to real concessions. They say incrementalism failed Alberta. This is their moment to redefine center of power. Regardless of whether public support translates into a victory in a 2026 referendum, the real story is one of electorate empowerment. Albertans across political lines are demanding respect, equity, and control. The referendum petition is their megaphone in a system many feel has sidelined them. And whether the result is separation or accommodation, Canada's political centers will have to reckon with Alberta's new assertiveness. In a final twist, Smith is calling for a reimagined federalism, a Canada that recognizes regional diversity through robust devolution, not default separation. That framing may soften the calls for secession while still empowering Alberta. It's a daring gamble. Push hard toward independence, not to jump ship, but to bring the boat closer to shore. In any case, the referendum is on its way, and the world is watching. Alberta is no longer the quiet energy province. It is now ground zero for one of Canada's most significant political experiments in a generation. Whether unity holds or cracks, the outcome will shape the nation's future for decades. And as petition numbers keep climbing, Premier Smith's moment continues, ushering a bold test of federalism, democracy, and the future of Canada itself.